So in this swing joint is very much an add-on to the previous one when we looked to really explore the idea of kind of rotation using that ball in the rib cage. So just to kind of almost elaborate and expand further on using a very small ball. So this is a 5 pound or kind of 2.5 kilogram kind of small medicine ball. It's actually called bounce balls. So when you drop them, as you'll see, hopefully here the balls actually don't bounce. So just placing that ball somewhere kind of around the diaphragm rib cage to really allow that rib cage and that spine to produce rotation in that much more anatomical definition. Really the only realistic way, for sure there's always ways you can work around these movements, the only real realistic way to produce rotation, or to actually move the ball as would be in this case, is to rotate that rib cage and move that spine. So again, just to really elaborate and expand further on the earlier tutorial, when we start to see, for example, things like elevation or the kind of pelvis movement lateral or whatever those imbalances may be, it's actually very hard to move that ball through space. So typically the only realistic way anatomically we can move the ball is actually through that kind of rib cage and spine moving and rotating through backswing. But very much the purpose of this swing draw is then to really expand on how we can use that ball in a much more explosive, much more advanced way, to then look at things like rotation in downswing, almost connecting back to some of the ground reaction forces, especially kind of through that kind of lead foot and ankle, lead knee hip, through that kind of first metatarsal into that big toe on that trail foot. Then looking at things, for example, even so then how the scapula connects into the rib cage, how the arm, especially that trail arm, then extends into impact. So with that ball on that rib cage, as you make that rotation backwards, then almost as explosively and almost as elastic as you can, as you then start downswing, very, very quickly and very powerfully, then extend and throw that ball downwards. So the objective being, as you really kind of push up through and extend through that lead foot, that lead knee, that lead hip, as you then start to rotate through that pelvis and rib cage, it's very much throwing the ball down as hard as you can to the exact ball position that the ball will be played from a goal. So not throwing the ball outside the lead foot, or as it would be in this case towards the camera. As we throw downwards, it's very much extending as hard down as you can to that trail arm, or for me, in this case, my right arm, in essence to where the ball will be played from. So we actually look at this more precisely as we rotate through backswing and very much extend and explode downwards. The response we then try and almost elicit in many ways is the extension through that lead foot and ankle. So then as we kind of push into that lead foot, push into that lead ankle, then that corresponding elevation through that lead hip, which then, as we know, then how that force migrates through areas such as the pelvis rib cage, then starts to create that rotation through, for example, the spine. But alongside it, even looking at that from the target line view, but as we then start to rotate downwards and explode that ball downwards, that lovely extension through that trail arm, there's a massive difference in the trail elbow extending to that trail shoulder protracting and almost kind of moving off the rib cage, as it can be seen in some movers. So again, just to be very precise with the ball once again, from that target line view, as we very much explode and really throw that ball down, make as much noise as you can as we elevate through that lead hip, as we extend and push into that lead ankle, as we extend through that trail elbow. There's a big difference in that trail shoulder then protracting, and in some ways almost walking around that rib cage as you move into impact. So once again, using this case, it's only really a kind of 2.5 kilo, 5 pound medicine ball on rib cage, and then start to add on to that previous drill. As we rotate the rib cage, it's the only real realistic way of moving the ball almost in slow motion, as we extend the trail elbow downwards, as we very much explosively push and apply pressure. Almost again, how much force, how much pressure can we apply onto that grip in transition and downswing as we explode downwards, very much releasing the ball pretty much to its ball position, and the corresponding response to that lead side would be, can we then elevate through that lead hip, that lead knee, compressing that lead ankle. So very much that kind of push-push relationship. As we push through that trail arm, as we extend through that trail arm, we then correspondingly, almost contralaterally in many ways, extend through that lead ankle, push up through that lead foot, elevate through that lead hip. So once again, ball on rib cage, as we rotate backwards, very powerfully, very explosively, throw the ball down, extend for that lead arm, push up through that lead hip, then really connect in areas such as those ground reaction forces, those segmental rotations, and that trail elbow extension.